So we take a look at a lot of retro gaming handheld stuff on this channel because I like doing it. Whether it be original hardware that's been modified, Chinese systems that are coming out at a dime a dozen, there's more reviews coming up on the channel as well, and of course the mini PC side of things. But pretty much all these handhelds that are coming out nowadays, or all the new stuff, falls into one of those categories, established categories, stuff that's been around for a while. Every company except for one, and that's Evercade. Evercade differentiates itself because they actually have physical cartridges for their software library, where you get a bunch of games on a cartridge for like 20 bucks, and it's a really good deal. We took a look at the original Evercade handheld and the Evercade Versus home console, but they also released a new updated model of their handheld called the Evercade EXP with a whole bunch of new features not seen on the original hardware. Now, honestly, they did send me over one of these. DHL lost it, so I was just like, whatever. I went on Amazon and purchased this for $149.99 because that's not really going to break the bank. And I'll have an affiliate link in the description box down below should we end up liking this system and if it's something that you'll want to check out. So make sure you check that out. But in the meantime, we got to look at the system itself, see how it's different from the original, and really see what it brings to the table. So sit back, relax, and let's take a look at the Evercade EXP. All right, so here's our Evercade EXP with games from Capcom and IRIM. We have 18 games from Capcom built into the system and 6 games on the IRIM cartridge. Some nice little artwork there. We have some of the features listed on the back of the box. I know why you're saying to yourself, RGT, why are the Capcom games not on a cartridge? Trust me, they tried to get this on a cartridge. Evercade was working on it pretty hard. Capcom wasn't budging, but better to have these games built into the system than not have them at all, in my opinion. Of course, the IRIM cartridge features 6 different games. We got some nice artwork here on the side of the box. You know, minimalistic style, but it's a game box. You know, it doesn't need to be all that crazy. I like the way it looks, though. Opening up this system, we have our little boy EXP here, and I will say right off the bat, I noticed the build quality feels a lot better than the original one did. The original one was kind of a bit lightweight. It kind of had like a very cheap plasticky feel to it, which, I mean, an upstart company, kind of what do you expect? But this feels like a proper handheld system. Obviously, we have some various buttons on here. We have some nice grip on the back of this as well, which I think is a big plus. I believe the original Evercade system was just a glossy back, and it feels a bit heavier than the original system did, but like in a good way, in a way that it feels like the build quality was actually like taken into account with this more so than maybe the previous one, and obviously the success of the Versus and the original system. Now here's the IRIM cartridge that comes in here. Of course, these games are just on a cartridge, much like an old classic system is, so that collection aspect is definitely very high with this, especially considering cartridges are indeed $20, which is just crazy to me. We have our little connector cable here in order to give the system some power, and we have a manual that always comes with the cartridges for Capcom collection, and this is actually a really nice manual. I'm a sucker for like old video game books and like Game Pros and stuff like that. I've actually been collecting quite a few Game Pros lately, and this is gorgeous. I love this. This looks fantastic. The paper quality is very high quality. The images used are very high quality, kind of has a bit of a gloss feel to it as well. Very impressive stuff here. I am digging this. This is a good thing, and it kind of helps with the fact that the Capcom games are not on the cartridge. Let's go ahead and rip the plastic off a cartridge though, so you guys can see what these are all about. Now they have various cartridges from various companies with arcade games, console games, computer games, all sorts of stuff. There is definitely a bit of a like an England focus with like Commodore 64 and stuff like that with some of these things, which if you're a Westerner, it didn't really hit with you, I don't feel. But you know, there's something for everyone. You don't have to buy every single cartridge in the world. There's also like indie games that get physical releases on this as well. The cartridges themselves are very nice and sleek, small, and pretty much what you'd expect from a cartridge. But yeah, 20 bucks a pop for these things, dude, that's such a freaking value, and that's so cool to me. Here are some of the various cartridges that I have. I actually have a lot of these things. I didn't sell any of these when I sold off my collection, so these are some of the newer ones that I've gotten with the Evercade EXP. Looking forward to checking them out. Like, I don't know anything about Commodore 64. All right, so let's take a game, throw it into the Evercade EXP. You just simply slide it into the back of the system, fits perfectly, but that is something we'll talk about in just a moment. I like that it has the name of the cartridge on it as well, so I know which one I'm playing. Hold down the power button, and we can see this green light comes on here. Volume button here on here as well. Very simple stuff, easy stuff, basically what you'd expect from a handheld system. But like I said, this handheld system is indeed very different, because where the other handhelds that we always look at are, you know, just ROM dumps essentially, this is actually something new in a form that you get physical media for a lot of the games. So here is the library from the cartridge, and then you can choose the EXP library. There's hidden games on here as well that you have to do certain things in order to unlock them, so that's pretty cool. Looking at the menu system here, I mean, very simple, very clean, pretty much what you want from a system like this. These are all the pre-built Capcom games that we have available to us on the system. Obviously, we all know what I'm going to play first, Street Fighter, because that's the way you check out the D-pad. You can see here we have some basic controls and how all that sort of stuff works. We have some information on the game as well, should you not be aware of what Street Fighter is. I feel like pretty much everyone is aware of Street Fighter at this point in time, but hey, you know, maybe there are some people out there who don't know. So booting up the game is, you know, seamless, and you can see here we are running the arcade version of Street Fighter 2 Hyper Fighting. Classic game, absolute classic game here. If you hit the menu button, you get some options. You can save, you can load your progress, you could do things like different display settings, pixel perfect, normal, and stretched. If you want to take up the full real estate, I will go with a normal one, and I'll put a nice little border on it because, I don't know, I can't say I like borders because someone will take that out of context, but I like the frame of this system. But this is obviously in order to test out the buttons, in order to test out the D-pad, and my God, this D-pad is heavenly. This D-pad is one of the best D-pads I have touched since like the Sega Saturn model, or the second rendition of the Sega Saturn controller. It is so good. Everything is responsive. The sound is decent, you know, you're not getting that bass effect or anything like that. I'm sure it sounds a lot better with headphones, but it sounds fine for what it is. Obviously, you know, they're not like super duper speakers or anything like that, but the controls on this, very, very snappy, very pleasing to the touch. The D-pad itself has a great roll to it. All of the buttons feel very crisp and they feel very strong. Like I'm not going to break this thing just by messing around from potential Street Fighter rage. So a very good first impression, and the fact that, you know, you could just back out of anything at any point in time, check out another game, load up a save file, create a save file, do whatever you want. I like that about this system. It has retro games, but with a modern feel to it. And the cartridge formula that this system has as well is yet again another thing that's going to appeal to retro gamers. I get it. Plug and play handhelds, the ones that come built with 1 million ROMs on them, those are great. I love those. But I like things that are also unique. I like things that are also different. And this system, honestly, is very different in the way that they distribute games and in the way that they sort of just try their business model. There's a ton of games coming out for this system as well. Duke Nukem is coming to it. I honestly can't wait for that. But I'm definitely very pleased with the build quality of this system, the way that the games run, the way that the games look, the screen itself. This is an IPS screen that looks very, very crisp. The viewing angles on it are very good as well. I'm actually, as I'm recording this stuff, you'll see my gameplay isn't very good, but I'm sitting at a very weird angle to sort of avoid the glare, but I was still able to see the screen like pretty clearly. So definitely a much better screen. You know, those IPS screens are definitely better than the original batch of Evercade stuff that we got with the first system that came out with this. So far so good, but there's actually a big secret that this system has over its predecessor that makes it very unique, I would say. You know, something that I know good old Joe Redifer from GameSack is gonna love. So on select games here, there's a button on the bottom here, and you're like, a T? Well, what's a T? Like, let's press that and see what happens. So now all of a sudden we have and this is sick. This is super, super cool for shoot 'em up games. I played this game absolutely horribly, but this is very neat. And this is something that, you know, you're not necessarily going to get with a lot of these handheld systems that you buy off of Amazon or you buy from AliExpress and stuff like that. Little attention to detail like that goes a long way with not only retro gamers, but gaming audience in general. You know, these things are very cool. It really transforms the way you play the game because now your viewing field is so much bigger. Of course, we'll check out a little bit of Strider on the system. I always liked this game. You know, I never played it as a kid, but I played it as an adult. And like I said, every game that I tried with this system was running fine. There's a whole bunch of cartridges from really years now that Evercade has been around. They've been around for quite a few years now. All of the cartridges that you play on this, you can play on your Evercade Versus if you have one of those as well, which is the home console version of this system. So it's like an ecosystem, you know what I'm saying? You buy a handheld, you buy the home console, you got a whole library of games that are 20 bucks a pop that come with multiple games on the cartridge. So you kind of just pick and choose what you want to play. We'll take a look at an older game here. Combat Tribes. I don't really know how you say it, but I love this game. This game is what Double Dragon 3 should have been. Technically, it is Double Dragon 3, but this is such an underrated game. I played it a ton on my iArcade, RIP to the iArcade, and once again, it is running great on this system. Really good use of colors as well, like the background stuff. I like how the system is able to make everything look clean and crisp. It's not just like focusing on just like one area where it's like, oh, let's just focus all the attention on the character sprites. Let's focus all the attention on the foreground. They pay attention to the background too. This is a really fun game if you've never played it. Combat Tribes. It is from Data East, and you know, Data East, I miss Data East. I think they were a really good company. They were a really fun company. They're still kind of around, of course. There is a new Ninja Double Dragon coming out. That should be pretty fun. Combat Tribes running great on here. There is one thing worth mentioning. So with the older cartridges from like the first year of the system, they fit a little bit differently than the newer cartridges do. You could see here, I put it in here, pretty snug fit, and I was able to access the games. This is a Namco collection, so no big deal about that. However, getting it out is an absolute pain in the ass. The company is aware of this. Unfortunately, it seems like there's nothing they can do. You literally have to find something to kind of like pry the bottom of the cartridge out. Like I was hurting my fingernail doing that. So unfortunately, whether that's an oversight, whether that was a necessary design mechanic to make games compatible, I'm not 100% sure. But other than that, I like this thing. I like this thing a lot. This is something that, you know, you could just throw by on your nightstand if you want to play some various retro games and just have some fun and veg out. If you want to do something like that, you want to bring some cartridges with you, load up a cartridge into there. You have the EXP, so you got all the Capcom games on there. It's a niche market for sure, but I think that's what makes this unique. That's what makes this system stand out. That's why this system is really unlike any of the other handheld systems that we review on this channel. So after I filmed all that stuff and gave my initial impressions, I've obviously been spending more time with the system, and I want to give you guys my final thoughts on it. Do I have any other issues besides the cartridge thing that I found in my additional testing that I did off of camera? I guess maybe the battery life is something worth talking about. I'm sure a lot of you guys are wondering, how long does the battery last? On a full charge, you'll get about 4 to 5 hours out of it. I got about 4.5 to 5 most of the time, and while that's decent, I would have liked to have seen it be a little bit more extended. This is a handheld system at the end of the day, so I feel like the 8-hour range should be something more targeted, maybe 6 to 8 hours. So that is something to keep in mind. It's only about 4 to 5 hours on a full charge, but other than that and the little cartridge snafu, I really like this system. I like that it's different. I like that it's unique. I like that there's a physical collection of games to buy, and the games themselves are cheap. Getting these games for 20 bucks a pop is an absolute steal in my opinion, considering it comes with a full color manual and a box, and you know, it displays nicely on your shelf. I never sold any of my Evercade stuff because I was like, what's the point? It's already cheap enough. Why would anyone want to buy it secondhand for even cheaper? Is there a market for that? I don't know, but I know as someone who likes video games, this is definitely something very cool. I genuinely enjoy the system. I like that they're doing something different. And while I might not be big into collecting the old video games now as they were because of the high prices of this, 20 bucks? Hey, that's something I can afford. And 20 bucks is 20 bucks. You know what I'm saying? Let me know in the comment section down below if you've checked out the Evercade EXP. It's been out for a few months now. I'm just very late to the party with my review of it because, hey, better late than never. If you guys want to check this system out, like I said, there is a link in the description box down below that will give you an Amazon affiliate link, and it's the same way as just buying anything off of Amazon, but I get a little bit of credit for leading you guys to buy it. So, I mean, that's cool. I like Amazon money, and, you know, so I can buy my Zevias and crap like that. I'm addicted to Zevia. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button, like, comment, and share. Emulation King, playing systems that have actual cartridges. What is the world coming to? I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.